The subject line blinked on Emily Cross's screen like a wound. Washington Tech Equity Fund. Final selection results. She clicked it with one breath held and a cup of coffee gone cold in her hand. The message was short, too short. Dear Ms. Cross, thank you for submitting Graybridge for the WTEF grant. After careful review, the committee has selected another proposal that better aligns with our strategic goals. We encourage you to apply again in the future. Best WTEF Grants Division. Strategic goals. That was rich, especially when she had spent 6 months tailoring every line of the Graybridge proposal to their guidelines. And then Julian Reyes's name popped up on LinkedIn, newly tagged in a press release. Reyes Tech awarded $1.2 million in WTEF funding to expand senior digital access tools. Her hand trembled, not from shock, but recognition. Julian had been in her med school cohort once, back when she was supposed to become someone the family could brag about. They had both dropped out the same year, but only one of them had done it quietly, then rebuilt something meaningful out of nothing. She clicked on the Reyes Tech page, their so-called innovation, a digital empowerment toolkit for older adults, was a poorly masked replica of what she had launched 3 years ago. Graybridge. Same tone, same pillars. Even the damn color scheme was similar. Emily closed her laptop slowly, like it might explode. 3 hours later, she was at her mother's house for Sunday dinner. Roast chicken, minted peas, ice water in glasses that sweated against linen napkins. Her younger brother Ryan stood near the kitchen island in a crisp shirt, Amanda, his fiancée, beside him, glowing in pearl studs. Ryan just got approved for a new portfolio, Carol announced, topping off his wine glass. Big international clients. It's such a proud moment. Amanda leaned in. Emily, your mom says you're doing some online classes for seniors? Emily smiled without her eyes. It's a little more than that. Well, Carol cut in, you know Emily, always a free spirit. She marches to her own drum. Ryan chuckled. She's been taking a break since med school. Emily looked at her plate. It's not a break, it's a platform. We've reached over 80,000 seniors nationwide. We've trained volunteers, built tools for the visually impaired. Carol patted her hand. That's lovely, dear. But Ryan's working with real capital now. Big scale stuff. Real capital. Amanda didn't laugh. She just looked at Emily for a second longer than necessary. Back in her apartment that night, just above the bookstore where rent was cheap and the air always smelled faintly of coffee and paper, Emily scrolled to the testimonial inbox of Graybridge's community portal. That's when she saw it. Amanda L. New submission to Stories That Shine campaign. She hesitated, then clicked. The screen filled with a softly lit video. Amanda sat on a couch, holding the hand of an elderly woman with a gentle smile. This is my grandma Margaret, Amanda said into the camera. She lost her husband last spring. It's been hard, but Graybridge helped us reconnect. She FaceTimes us every week now, learns to grocery shop online. It gave her confidence and gave us her. Emily watched the whole clip 3 times. Not once did Amanda recognize her name in the footer of the platform. She had no idea Emily built it, but she meant every word. Near the end, Margaret looked straight into the camera and whispered, "Thank you, Emily. You helped me feel human again." On Monday morning, Emily walked into Graybridge HQ, a shared workspace tucked between 2 bakeries in Capitol Hill. Her assistant, Jaden, greeted her with a crooked smile. "Rough weekend?" he asked. "Let's just say I'm the family myth." Jaden raised an eyebrow. "The disappointment thing again?" "Front row seating this time." He handed her a file. "We finished the pilot test in Spokane. Full reports inside. And, you're not gonna like this, but Reyes Tech just updated their user journey diagram." Emily flipped through the pages, then froze. The layout, the color logic, even the onboarding phrase, "You're not behind, you just haven't been invited." That was hers. Word for word, pulled from a talk she gave at a small UX conference last year. "They're copying us," Jaden nodded. "We could send a notice, or go public." Emily stared at the words. "Not yet. Let him run with it." That afternoon, Carol called. "Don't forget Ryan's engagement party on Saturday," she chirped. "Please be on time, and maybe, don't talk too much about the website thing." Amanda's family is very professional. Emily almost laughed. Got it. No buttons, no blind seniors, no changing lives, just roast beef and wine. Carol didn't catch the sarcasm. Exactly. Oh, and wear something feminine this time, not black, and no pantsuits. Emily stared at her reflection in the microwave door. Sure, Mom, I'll dress like a PowerPoint slide. That night, she met with an intern at a cafe. Jamie, 19, brilliant, eager, talked about UX for aging populations like it was a new frontier. From the table next to them, a woman leaned over. I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you Emily Cross from Greybridge? Emily blinked. Yes? My dad's obsessed with your platform, sends me memes now. I didn't even know he knew what memes were. Jamie stared at her. You didn't say people recognize you. Emily sipped her tea. They usually don't. But it was happening more. Quiet emails, podcast invites, retirees calling her the girl who made my grandson talk to me again. Back home, Emily opened her closet and pulled out an emerald green dress. Elegant, sleeveless, simple. Not a statement, a presence. She packed Amanda's testimonial video onto a USB drive. Not to show, just to carry. A talisman. Proof. If you've ever been dismissed despite everything you built with your bare hands, type 1, you're not alone, and your story isn't over. 3 days before the engagement party, Emily receives a legal notice in her inbox. Subject line, Notice of Infringement, Reyes Tech versus Greybridge IP. Julian had struck first. The Zoom call opened to a courtroom. Emily blinked at her screen, not expecting to see mahogany walls and a judge's bench at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. Her legal advisor, Mara, sat in a digital square in the corner of the screen, eyes steady, voice low. He's not suing you. Yet, Mara said. This is a preemptive filing. Julian's firm submitted a cease and desist regarding your latest pilot. They're claiming your Spokane UX test uses proprietary UI flow from Reyes Tech. Emily exhaled. That's my language, my layout. We know, and we'll prove it. But he's trying to rattle you. Emily muted herself, leaned back in her chair, and stared at the ceiling tiles. She remembered presenting that layout at a public conference 2 years ago. The audience clapped. Julian sat in the back row, smiling like a shark in a library. Now he was playing legal chicken, because he thought she'd flinch first. That afternoon, Carol sent another text. Still waiting for your RSVP. Don't embarrass us by showing up last minute again. This is a family event. Emily didn't answer. She was too busy meeting with her new developer team, integrating real-time speech recognition into Greybridge's platform. They were preparing for their biggest expansion yet, 12 rural libraries in Washington state. While Carol chose napkin colors, Emily was choosing server stacks and screen reader compatibility layers. Jamie, her intern, dropped a folder onto the conference table. Got this off Reyes Tech's open access GitHub. They launched a beta yesterday. Emily flipped through it. The structure was almost identical, even the onboarding language. You're not late, just not yet connected. That was hers. A line she wrote at 2 a.m. during her third cup of coffee. Her hands tensed. Think it's worth filing back? Jamie asked. Emily said nothing. But her silence wasn't surrender. It was calculation. The night before the party, Emily stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes. No black, her mom had said. No pantsuits. Something feminine. She chose emerald green again. The same dress. But this time, she wasn't wearing it for approval. The restaurant shimmered with glass and gold, chandeliers like constellations, tables that cost more per plate than Emily made in a day when she started Greybridge. She arrived 10 minutes early, as always. The host blinked when she gave her name. Oh, you're Emily Cross? He asked, glancing at the seating chart. I am. He walked her to the end of a long rectangular table. Not the head, not the center. The end. The seat they saved for her. Far enough to be forgotten. Close enough to nod at speeches. Out of focus. Carol approached. Oh, you're here. Her eyes swept over the dress. I was hoping you'd wear something lighter. It's a celebration after all. Emily offered a smile. You asked for no black. This is green. Carol's lips tightened. Well, at least you're on time. Ryan and Amanda arrived 15 minutes later, shining with curated elegance. Amanda greeted everyone with hugs. She gave Emily a soft smile, but no recognition. She didn't know. Not yet. Dinner passed in a blur of toasts and business jargon. Ryan's boss gave a speech about legacy. Amanda's father talked about loyalty. Emily stirred her water. Aunt Doreen leaned over and whispered, "Still doing your internet thing?" Emily opened her mouth, but Carol jumped in. "She's working on a passion project. It keeps her busy." Emily's jaw clenched. She felt her breath sit in her throat. That was when Amanda turned to her. "I've been meaning to ask," she said. "Emily, what exactly do you do?" The table hushed. A ripple of attention turned her way. Even Ryan looked up. Emily placed her fork down. "I run a digital platform for older adults. We design adaptive systems, large text interfaces, voice commands, cognitive-friendly layouts." Amanda tilted her head. "Like online classes?" "We go beyond that. It's called Graybridge. We train seniors to use modern technology, access services, even recognize misinformation." Amanda froze. "Wait, Graybridge? You founded Graybridge?" "I did." Amanda's eyes widened. "You're the Emily Cross?" Emily nodded once. Amanda stood up, napkin falling from her lap. "My grandma Margaret used Graybridge every week until she passed last fall. You helped her learn to FaceTime. She used to say your program made her feel smart again." A beat of silence passed. Ryan whispered, "You never told us." Emily turned to him. "You never asked." The table erupted. Aunt Linda gasped. Uncle Joe cleared his throat. Ryan's boss blinked like he'd missed something. Carol said nothing, stiff, eyes blinking fast as if recalibrating. Amanda placed a hand on Emily's shoulder. "You changed my grandmother's life, and you never said a word?" Emily smiled softly. "I saw the video. Thank you for sending it in." Amanda turned to the table. "I just want everyone to understand something. Emily didn't build a hobby. She built a national nonprofit. She's been featured on NPR, Forbes. She's changing lives." Ryan looked at his fiancée. "You submitted a video?" Amanda nodded. It was part of their campaign, Stories That Shine. The silence that followed wasn't cold. It was awe. If you've ever been underestimated and then watched people finally catch up, type 2. Quiet power is still power. Emily's phone buzzed on the way home, a text from an unknown number. "We both know where that code came from. I'll see you in court if you keep pushing. JR." She looked at the screen, read it again, then calmly typed back, "Bring it." The notification came through during a staff stand-up. Subject, Notice of Mediation Request. Reyes Tech versus Graybridge IP claim. Emily's screen flashed white as the file opened. This wasn't just a legal threat anymore. It was real. Julian had filed for formal mediation, the step right before litigation. He was forcing her into a room, virtual or physical, where he'd sit across the table and call her a thief for stealing her own ideas. Jaden glanced at her from across the table. "Do we need to pause?" "No," she said too quickly. "Let's finish the update notes." Her voice sounded calm, but her pulse had jumped into her ears. That silence, the one she'd spent years hiding inside, was being twisted into a weapon. Julian thought it meant she wouldn't fight, that she'd back down if he wrapped his attack in enough paperwork and polite threat. He was wrong. Later that day, she met with Mara, her attorney. "This isn't about actual theft," Mara said, scrolling through Julian's brief. "It's about branding. He's claiming you used a tagline he loosely registered in an early draft. You're not behind, you just weren't invited." "That line was mine," Emily said, "from a speech I gave publicly 2 years ago." "He's banking on ambiguity, but here's the twist. He included an appendix of old Slack transcripts, anonymous ones." Emily frowned. "How did he—" "They're not yours, but they're presented like they could be. It's deceptive as hell." "Manipulated data?" "Possibly AI generated. Possibly scrubbed metadata. It's dirty. Emily inhaled slowly. Then it's war. That night, she walked past her mother's house without stopping. The porch lights were on, the driveway empty. A dinner gathering underway, probably. She could hear faint laughter inside, but she kept walking. Let them keep their tidy scripts and clean endings. She had bigger things to write. Back at Greybridge HQ, a different kind of team dinner unfolded. Takeout noodles, soft jazz, and a whiteboard filled with strategy. "We're not just going to defend ourselves," Jaden said. "We go public, transparent. We open our UX journey, show the dates, the sketches, the recordings." Emily nodded. Let the truth breathe. They built a timeline microsite, Greybridge Origins, with documented work from 2019 to present. Time-stamped interviews, user footage, even early whiteboard snapshots with her handwriting. Jamie, their intern, added a note. "What if we included community voices too?" Emily turned toward her, brows raised. "Like testimonials," Jamie continued, "but live, seniors reading their stories, on camera. We'll show who we're fighting for." Emily didn't answer right away. She just smiled. 2 days later, the page went live. The public could finally see what had been quietly built, brick by digital brick. The response? Overwhelming. Within 24 hours, the story hit Reddit's front page. Journalists emailed. Retirees posted videos. One woman in Kentucky tearfully said, "Greybridge helped me see my granddaughter graduate during COVID. No one else taught me how." Meanwhile, Julian's firm scrambled. His website mysteriously went under maintenance. Emily sat in her office, watching the wave unfold, not like a fire starter, but a witness to her own vindication. And still, her phone remained quiet. No call from Carol, no message from Ryan, no apology, just silence. But this time, it didn't feel like punishment. It felt like power. At the engagement rehearsal dinner, Emily didn't expect to be greeted like a celebrity. But she wasn't expecting the freeze-out either. Carol barely looked at her. Ryan mumbled a hello. Amanda was kind, but distracted, caught in the swirl of relatives and floral arrangements. During the meal, Emily excused herself and stepped onto the balcony. She needed air. Behind her, the sliding door creaked open. "I didn't know it was this serious," Ryan said, joining her. She didn't turn. "What part?" "The lawsuit, the news, everything." Emily sipped her drink. "I built something. He tried to steal it. I pushed back." Ryan paused. "I thought you just were figuring things out." "I was, and I did." He looked away, awkward. "You know Mom doesn't mean harm." Emily turned to face him. "She means control. There's a difference." He sighed. "I just wish you'd tell us more." "No," she said. "You wish you didn't have to ask." If they mistook your silence for weakness, and you made them listen anyway, type 3. Your quiet matters. Back inside, Amanda raised her glass for a toast. "To new beginnings," she smiled. "To family, and to those who dare to take the harder path and walk it alone until others catch up." Her eyes flicked toward Emily. Emily didn't cry. She didn't smile wide. She just nodded, subtle, precise, proud. That night, she got an email from her cousin Max. Subject: a friendly word. "You've made quite the stir. You're getting good at that. Just keep in mind, Julian's not done. His investors are pissed. If he goes scorched earth, don't expect everyone to stay neutral. Consider this me being generous." Emily stared at the signature. Maxwell Cross, legal consultant, Reyes Tech Holdings. She didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, she printed it, highlighted the words, "Don't expect everyone to stay neutral." Then wrote in pen below it, "Good, neither will I." The morning after the lawsuit was dropped, Emily received an email she never expected. Not from Julian, not from Max, from her mother. Subject: a letter. Inside was a scanned, handwritten note. Blue ink, curved script, uncharacteristically smudged at the edges. "Dear Emily, I watched the videos, the testimonies. Amanda sent me the press link. I cried. Not because I didn't know what you were building, but because I realized I never asked. I was too focused on what you walked away from to notice what you were walking toward. You did what no one in this family has ever dared. You failed publicly, and then kept going. And in doing so, you helped people remember how to find their voice, including me. Love, Mom. Emily read it 3 times, then folded it, not to display, not to frame, just to keep. Because this time, she didn't need proof on a wall. She was the proof. A week later, Emily stood on a small stage inside a community center gym. No cameras, no lights, just 60 attendees, most of them seniors, most holding notebooks and thick envelopes of questions. A man in the front row raised his hand. I'm 87. I fought in Korea. I never used a computer until last year. Now I talk to my great-grandkids every Sunday. He paused, eyes glistening. Your team taught me that I'm not too late. Emily nodded, gripping the podium. You never were. They applauded, not the performative kind, the kind that carries recognition. And Emily? She didn't cry, but she did smile, not the polite kind, the kind that reaches your spine. That night, Amanda invited her to lunch, just the 2 of them. No Ryan, no cross-family decorum, just 2 women with unfinished threads between them. They met at a sunlit cafe in Capitol Hill. Amanda was already seated, a notebook open beside her coffee. I've been thinking, Amanda began, there's a foundation I work with, women-led startups, social equity initiatives. I showed them Graybridge. Emily blinked. You don't owe me anything. I know, Amanda said. That's why I want to help. She slid the notebook across the table. Pages filled with names, connections, funding tiers. You gave my grandmother dignity. I want to see where else your light can reach. Emily sat back. Let the weight of the moment settle. And, for once, she didn't flinch when someone believed in her. By fall, Graybridge launched its first national campaign. Digital Dignity. Free tech literacy hubs in public libraries. Community training for veterans, caregivers, seniors in remote towns. By the end of Q4, 250,000 users. One email stood out. I'm 92. Your platform helped me apply for a passport online. I'm flying next month to see my great-granddaughter. I've never flown before. Thank you for that first step. Emily stared at it for a long time, not as validation, but as reminder, quiet efforts ripple too. At Ryan and Amanda's wedding, Emily wore a navy jumpsuit. No one blinked. Carol introduced her to Amanda's family with a firm hand on her back. This is my daughter Emily. She runs a national nonprofit. The label wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Later, as the reception rolled into soft music and champagne toasts, Carol pulled her aside. Holding a glass of white wine, voice tight with emotion, she said, You always walked your own way. I used to think that meant you were lost. Now, I see you were just walking ahead. They didn't hug, but they stood beside each other longer than they ever had, and that felt like enough. Under a canopy of fairy lights, Ryan approached her with both hands in his pockets, sheepish. Amanda says you've been invited to speak at Google next month. That true? Emily grinned. Thinking of bragging about being my brother? He laughed. You gonna brag about being my sister? That was the closest they'd come to full circle, and it was enough, for now. 2 weeks later, Emily mailed a small package to Amanda and Ryan. Inside, a handwritten note and a USB drive. The drive contained a custom-built version of Graybridge, designed specifically for the assisted living facility, where Margaret, Amanda's grandmother, had spent her final years. Lifetime access, no fees, full support, no press release, no logo, just a single note. Some connections outlive misunderstanding. Thank you for helping mine find her voice. Amanda called the next morning. She didn't speak right away, just a breath, trembling through the phone. You didn't have to, she whispered. Emily smiled. I know. That's why I did. At home, Emily printed a quote and taped it to the fridge. They'll say you failed, until one day they ask how you did it. No signature, no bitterness, just truth. And beneath it, her reflection in the silver door, calm, solid, undeniably seen. If they ignored you until the world couldn't, type 4. quiet victories still matter. A week after the campaign's national rollout, Emily received a letter from a former WTEF board member, the very organization that originally denied her the grant. Your model has set new standards for our funding criteria. We'd like to speak with you about a leadership seat on the advisory board. She read the last line twice. We no longer want to fund people like Julian. We want to fund people like you. Emily leaned back in her chair and smiled like someone who knew. She'd never needed their seat. She'd built the damn table.